Hello, everybody. This is Dr. David Jockers, and today we are talking about micronutrients. I'm going to really dive into this topic in detail, really what micronutrients do for your body, how to test your levels, and really how to raise them as well. So let's jump into this. If you don't know me, my name's Dr. David Jockers. I am a doctor of natural medicine, and I really specialize in helping people improve their digestion and energy levels. I'm an expert in the ketogenic diet and really a micronutrient rich ketogenic diet, which is a unique way, a unique approach to the ketogenic diet. And this is my family, my beautiful wife, Angel, my little boys, David and Joshua, identical twin boys. And we have a clinic right outside of Kennesaw, really Atlanta area, Kennesaw, Georgia. It's called Exodus Health Center. I run that. I work with people all around the world, helping them improve their health and overcome chronic disease. And of course, today we're talking about micronutrients. And so micronutrients are so critical for a number of different things. When we think about nutrients, most of the time we're thinking of what we call macronutrients, which is like fat, carbohydrates, and protein. And I know as a ketogenic expert, I talk a lot about, hey, get the right type of fats in your body, moderate protein, low carbohydrates, right? But when we really dive into this, we got to look at micronutrients. Micronutrients are trace minerals. They're key vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E, so your fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin C, of course, trace minerals like zinc, magnesium, selenium. These things are all so important for the body. And then there's a lot of nutrients that don't even really necessarily have a classification. We call them phytonutrients, and these are polyphenols and flavonoids and just basically all these plant compounds that we get from different colored plants. And these sorts of nutrients really help support our body's fight against oxidative stress. And so, as you can see in the slide, the job of micronutrients, they really help our body to produce digestive enzymes, keep our metabolism going. They provide this antioxidant defense that protects our cells, protects our brain tissue. They help reduce inflammation in the body. They play a role with gut motility and keeping the microbiome under control. You have a classification of herbs, for example, that are called carminative herbs because they are really, really good for helping with bowel tone, helping with good contractions of the intestines. They help, they're all antimicrobials, so they help kill off bad microbes and kind of help prune the microbiome in our gut. And so they're just so important to get a lot of micronutrients in our diet. And this is one of the reasons why consuming fruits and vegetables can be so important for our bodies, because they're so rich in micronutrients. But also, really, some animal foods can also be good sources of micronutrients as well, especially when we start talking about things like zinc and B12, iron, right? Things like that. Those can be, animal sources can be really rich sources of those, as long as, again, it's grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products. So micronutrient deficiencies, when we're deficient, over time, it's going to result in symptoms. In the beginning, those symptoms might be things like trouble concentrating, brain fog, poor sleep at night, could be low energy. That's a really common one with micronutrient deficiencies. It could be just kind of dry, sagging skin or acne or eczema, digestive problems. All these types of things are associated with micronutrient deficiencies. Over time, the longer we are deficient, the worse the problems get, until all of a sudden we have a clinical disease like diabetes, we're overweight or obese, we are clinically depressed, or we have hypothyroidism, we have an autoimmune disease, we're diagnosed with high blood pressure or cancer, anything like this, okay? And this is, again, a micronutrient deficiency for a long period of time leads to a chronic disease. And so we look at two-time Nobel Prize winning Dr. Linus Pauling, the man who really pioneered the high-dose vitamin C approach to helping improve immunity. And he said nearly all disease can be traced to a nutritional deficiency. And so he did a lot of research looking at human disease, and he found that really every disease was associated with different micronutrient deficiencies. And we look at vitamins in general, And as you can see, there's overwhelming evidence that vitamin deficiencies are associated with chronic disease processes. Vitamins are essential. Micronutrients are essential to the body. And so we've got to make sure we've got the right amount of vitamins, trace minerals, in order to help prevent against chronic disease. And so trace minerals are rarely talked about when it comes to health, but they're required in small amounts. Why it's called trace minerals, because they're required in small amounts and they're just absolutely vital. Typically, for many of them, it's like 100 to maybe 100 milligrams to maybe up to a gram of these micronutrients a day is really all we need. Okay, and so like you think about zinc, all right? So with zinc, I typically am recommending for people to get somewhere between 40 to 60 milligrams of zinc per day, right? It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but most people out there are getting something like 8 to 10 milligrams of zinc, just not enough. And stress depletes zinc, blood sugar imbalances, things like that. So we've got to make sure we're getting appropriate amount of these micronutrients. They're nature's catalysts. They help work with enzymes. They help with cellular energy production. Very important for the immune system. We think about zinc. It's so important for hormone balance. Like women who are deficient in zinc will typically have high estrogen, low progesterone. So they'll be dealing with symptoms of estrogen dominance. They also have a significant increased risk in developing breast cancer, uterine, ovarian cancer. When they're deficient in zinc for men, they typically end up with estrogen dominance as well. We need zinc to help produce testosterone. Zinc is also very important for the immune system. So when we're deficient in zinc, our chance of getting a cold, a fever, a flu goes up significantly. Also, our chance of getting cancer or autoimmune disease goes up. So these nutrients are just so important for the body. And so here are some major signs that we are deficient. So if you're noticing dark circles or bags under your eyes, it's oftentimes associated with an allergy, food intolerances, so food sensitivity, as well as dehydration. Okay, these are really common with dark circles under your eyes. Poor night vision can be vitamin A. Ruptured blood vessels in the eyes, vitamin C, or if you see like, for example, varicose veins, oftentimes associated with vitamin C deficiencies. Nearsightedness, very much associated with vitamin D, which plays a role in helping shape the eye throughout development and childhood. So typically people that are having vision problems oftentimes are deficient in some of these fat soluble vitamins. Omega-3s can also play a role with that. If you have a really pale skin, pale lower eyelid, unusually pale, can be an iron deficiency, which can cause anemia. If you have bleeding gums, which can be very common, vitamin C and folic acid, or a really better form for that would be folate. Crowded teeth, so if teeth are too crowded, it can be vitamin D, calcium, vitamin K plays a role. So you guys can see like on this chart as we go through this, like for example, you see under mouth, loss of smell or taste. That's something as a clinician I'm always looking for. I ask people, are you able to smell this, or can you taste this? We do a zinc tally test to really see, are they able to taste it? And if they're deficient, they don't. They typically don't have very good taste perception. It's a zinc deficiency. So, there's so many different things. And in the article that associates this video, I do have this picture and really all the slides that are in this. So you can take a look at that in more detail, try to kind of see what's going on and where some of your symptoms may lie as far as the micronutrient deficiencies. So let's talk about reasons for a micronutrient deficiency. Well, here are the main reasons. So of course, in our society, most people have a poor diet, very inflammatory diet. They're eating a lot of processed foods, GMOs, gluten-containing products. And so anything that's really throwing off our blood sugar, or if we're eating foods that are really low in micronutrients and high in toxins, then that's going to be a problem. When I'm teaching people nutrition, I really focus on getting maximal amount of nutrients, minimal amount of toxins. And that's really a slogan you want to think through. I want maximal nutrients, minimal toxins. So I want foods that are loaded with nutrients, but have very little, if any, environmental chemicals and toxins. Very little sugar, because believe it or not, sugar, or things that turn into sugar, is a toxin, because when we have a blood sugar imbalance, so when our blood sugar goes way up after a meal, that actually is a toxin, actually depletes our body of micronutrients. And so for many people, they're eating a nutrient-rich diet. They're eating a lot of micronutrients. However, they're consuming foods that are high in carbohydrate, and so they're spiking their blood sugar, causing a massive release of insulin, causing a lot of glycation in their body and a lot of energy production through glycolysis, which just drains our micronutrient levels, and that can be a major issue. Also, stress. Stress is the same thing. Stress puts us into glycolysis, which is sugar burning mode. And that's obviously going to, again, deplete micronutrient status, B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, things like that. They're all depleted when we have high levels of stress or blood sugar imbalances. Low stomach acid. When we're under high stress, or if we're just not taking good care of our body, we oftentimes can have deficiencies in producing enough stomach acid. In fact, in westernized countries, a really big trend is fast food. Okay, and when we eat food fast, that itself leans towards depleting our body of, or inhibiting, I should say, our body of producing enough stomach acid, because stomach acid is produced when we have high vagal tone, vagal nerve. And so that's a parasympathetic function. In order to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, we need to be in a state where we can breathe deep, where we're relaxed. We don't feel stressed or hurried. So if we're stressed or hurried or on the go, we're not going to be able to produce adequate stomach acid. And if we can't produce adequate stomach acid, then we can't sterilize our food well. We can't digest it well. That food is going to cause more inflammation in the gut, and it's going to lead to leaky gut syndrome. And if we have leaky gut syndrome, it just perpetuates itself. Every time we eat, we cause more inflammation in our body. And that inflammation throws off our blood sugar and causes chronic stress in our body. And we get kind of this vicious cycle of problems. So these are really what I've identified to be the 5 key areas that you want to address when you're consuming food in order to address any sort of micronutrient deficiency. Ultimately, the better we digest our food, the more micronutrients we're going to get out of it, the less toxins are going to be produced, the better energy we're going to have. Obviously, again, we're going to assimilate nutrients. We're going to have stronger, better digestive function. So every time we eat, we're going to consume nutrients better. And then we're going to get better detoxification because the cells have the nutrients they need to help kick toxins out of the body. And ultimately, what does this lead to? It leads to better health, better vibrancy, just overall energy and overall vibrancy of life, and better skin function. I mean, just you look beautiful, you feel great. And this is kind of the sign of really good digestion and micronutrient sufficiency. So how do we improve our micronutrient levels? We definitely got to heal our gut. So we need an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, one that really helps our body heal the gut, heal leaky gut, supports stomach acid and enzymes. We also really, from a lifestyle perspective, need to do everything we can to help reduce unnecessary stress. Stress is always going to be there, but we want to reduce the unnecessary stress. We want to improve our sleep. That's so critical for recovery. So we want to improve our sleep. And then also taking micronutrient support supplements. I think all of us are under stress. There's going to be times where, we're consuming food that has more toxins or throws off our blood sugar. So taking micronutrient support supplements can be really, really helpful. All 4 of these, the top 4, we should all be doing. And if you can, if you can afford it, taking a micronutrient support supplement can be super, super helpful for your energy, your vitality in general, your skin health, really every element, every aspect of you. So what are 3 steps to an anti-inflammatory healing diet? Number 1, reduce sugar and grains. Because again, sugar and things that turn into sugar, like grains, these are anti-nutrients. They deplete micronutrient status in our bodies. So we want to get rid of those. We want to load up on good fats, but get rid of bad fats. Bad fats are going to be things like corn oil, soybean, safflower oil, cottonseed oil, corn oil. These are refined vegetable oils that are really, really bad for the body. So if something says vegetable oil, stay away from it. It's going to be one of these toxic vegetable oils. Now, what are micronutrient-rich fats? That's going to be things like avocados. Avocados are extremely rich in B vitamins, potassium, magnesium, fat-soluble nutrients, things like carotenoids. lutein and zeaxanthin, all these really powerful micronutrients. So avocados are awesome for that, or avocado oil, olives, olive oil, really great sources of micronutrients. Grass-fed butter, amazing source of micronutrients because it's loaded with butyric acid, which helps heal the gut. It's got conjugated linoleic acid, fat-soluble vitamin A, fat-soluble vitamin E, just really, really powerful nutrients in there. Choline for our brain. So many good micronutrients in grass-fed butter. Coconut oil is amazing fat. It really doesn't have many micronutrients, although if we were to break down the fats and look at just the properties of those fats, like lauric acid in there, which is a really powerful anti-candida agent, so good for the gut. You got caprylic acid and capric acid, which turn into ketones. So I would consider that micronutrients, even though those fats are not really classified in that category. And coconut oil really doesn't have antioxidants, but it's so remarkably stable to oxidation that it helps prevent against our body having to overutilize micronutrients. So we maintain more of these antioxidant stores and enzyme stores because of its ability to buffer, in a sense, to just the stability. So it doesn't easily oxidize inside of our body. Whereas these polyunsaturated fats that I talked about, these bad fats like corn oil, soybean oil, these things deplete micronutrients because they're so easily oxidized. They're so fragile. So they oxidize and they just deplete key micronutrients, antioxidants, B vitamins, magnesium that cause more stress in the body. So that's why we want to avoid those. And then change the meat that we eat. We want to get rid of grain-fed, commercially raised animal products, super toxic and inflammatory to the body, deplete our micronutrient status. We want to really focus on grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products because these things are very rich in micronutrients, key B12, conjugated linoleic acid, different B vitamins that are important in there, zinc, selenium. Zinc is we talked about the importance of that. We're going to get it from the best sources. We're going to get it from our grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products. Also, omega-3 fatty acids. So many key micronutrients, things that listeners probably have never heard of, like acetyl L-carnitine and carnosine, which are super important for muscular strength, endurance, for getting fatty acids into the mitochondria. I see when I do organic acid testing, I see a lot of people that are deficient in acetyl L-carnitine. Animal sources are the best way to get it, but typically for these people, their stomach acid levels are low, so they're not able to really digest their protein well. So they're not able to absorb that acetyl L-carnitine, but it can be so important for the body. And so when we look at just your overall nutrition plan for a micronutrient-rich diet, we want to have these really good fats that I talked about at the bottom. Right above that, a lot of non-starchy veggies, which are super micronutrient rich, herbs like basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon. These are so rich in micronutrients. Low glycemic fruit like berries, lemons, and limes. Berries are low sugar, high in phytonutrient antioxidants, these micronutrients. Lemons and limes are amazing sources of those. So we definitely want to use those. Again, clean protein, not in abundance. So we don't want to just eat a lot of meat. We want to eat it at select times because we need good stomach acid. So we need to make sure that our body, we're in a relaxed state when we consume that. We want to make sure we get the best source. Again, grass-fed, wild-caught salmon, pasture-raised animal products. Nuts and seeds are very good sources of micronutrients. The only issue with nuts and seeds is they're also loaded with anti-nutrients. This is why soaking and sprouting nuts and seeds can be so helpful. So if you're consuming a lot of nuts and seeds, definitely going to benefit you in your micronutrient status to have them soaked and sprouted. Like sprouted pumpkin seeds are awesome. You can get sprouted pecans, sprouted almonds, sprouted chia seeds. That's really the best way if you're going to consume a lot. If you consume small amounts of nuts and seeds, kind of like I recommend in this chart, then you can handle some of the anti-nutrients. But if you're making that like a big staple of your diet, then definitely want to make sure it's soaked and sprouted. Fermented foods, when vegetables ferment, there's all these different unique phytonutrients that we haven't even found a name for that are being produced. Like when we ferment cabbage, it produces vitamin U, which is really an amazing anti-carcinogen. So getting fermented foods into our diet, when we ferment something, basically bacteria and microorganisms will break down the sugar that's in there. They eat the sugar and they produce B vitamins. They produce organic acids, which are another phytonutrient, micronutrient. So the cool thing is good bacteria, good microorganisms, they do this in our gut. They also do this with when we're fermenting foods, is they actually break down off bad stuff like sugar, for example, and they produce good stuff, B vitamins, different phytonutrients, organic acids. So that's what we want. And then we want we want sweeteners that are not going to spike our blood sugar, like stevia, monk fruit, sugar alcohols in moderation. And so if we do that, if we're using those for sweeteners, we get the pleasure of the sweet taste, but we're not spiking our blood sugar or insulin levels, and therefore we're going to preserve our micronutrient levels. And things like stevia and monk fruit actually have micronutrients, stevioside and mogrosides that are in monk fruit that have clinical health benefits. So really good stuff. And just ultimately, I have a video on this, an article on ways to improve stomach acid, but there are definitely some major things that we should all be doing on a regular basis, like using herbs, doing a lot of liquid nutrition, smoothies and shakes and things like that, fermented foods, hydrating well outside of meals, not hydrating with meals. We talked about eating our largest meal or eating food with meat, for example, when we're most relaxed. So we're not stressing our body so we can produce enough stomach acid. So we definitely want to be following that to help absorb those micronutrients. And then you can take support supplements like this. When I'm working with somebody, one of the first supplements I get them on is our high energy support. The reason why is a high energy support is a great source of highly bioavailable micronutrients, clinically studied, several different studies using this formulation that have shown the bioavailability, because we've got chelated minerals, which are easy for absorption. We've got methylated B vitamins. We've got every nutrient in its best, most absorbable form. And we've got high doses of the trace mineral chromium and vanadium, which are really important for blood sugar stability. And when I test people's micronutrients, I see that typically chromium and vanadium are very low. And one of the major reasons is, number one, is that our plant-based foods are typically, the soil is so depleted in chromium, vanadium these days, so they're not even getting it from a lot of the food that they should be getting it from. But then the other, probably more important reason is that their blood sugar and their stress levels are depleting their chromium and vanadium. These trace minerals get depleted quickly when our blood sugar is off. We need chromium and vanadium for healthy blood sugar stability. And so this is a supplement I use with people along with diet and lifestyle to help get their blood sugar under control, to help reduce their insulin levels, and to help their bodies start to be able to produce and utilize ketones. So very, very important supplement, very inexpensive too. This supplement, it's like a month's supply for $25. So you really can't beat that, especially when you look at the research and just how good this supplement actually is. So this is one of the key supplements I use. And then I'll also like to put people on liquid nutrition and doing a high quality protein powder. And we have 2 protein powders that have basically a multivitamin, a high quality multivitamin in them with tons of micronutrients. One is our Super Digest protein, and the other one is our gut healing protein. And especially if I see somebody with a lot of micronutrient deficiencies, digestive issues, autoimmune disease, chronic inflammatory conditions, for about 3 months, I'll have them use this medicinal food, this gut healing protein, to help support their micronutrient levels. And this gut healing protein has a ton of phytonutrients that help downregulate inflammation in the gut. So it's actually a medicinal food to help heal and seal the gut. So I'll use this for a short period of time, typically, to help somebody heal their gut, reduce inflammation in their body, overcome autoimmunity, and support the micronutrient status. So that's the gut healing protein from drjockers.com. And one of the key tests that we use is our micronutrient test. We're actually looking at all these key nutrients. So you can see carbohydrate metabolism, fatty acids. We talked a little bit about carnitine, acetyl L-carnitine, how important that is. Choline, which we find in things like pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed butter. Chromium, super important for blood sugar, glucose, insulin levels, our overall metabolism, right? Things like that. We're looking at antioxidant function in the body, glutathione levels. We're looking at all our key B vitamins, vitamin D, K2. So this is a really powerful test that you can actually look at all these levels. And that's really what it comes down to is, hey, we want to do these proactive things like I've been talking about, and then do the testing. And then obviously, we'll substitute any areas that you are struggling in with targeted supplementation, diet, and then retest really like every 4 to 6 months, so we can kind of see where you're at and what areas we need to further address. So if you're interested in getting the micronutrient deficiency test, you can find that on drjockers.com. So really hope you guys enjoyed today's presentation, and we'll be back with a future online presentation. Hope everybody has a super blessed day. Bye-bye.